Hey y'all, welcome back. Just got done with today's workout. We've got for intensity technique, it kind of goes up to the Sumo-deadlift High-Pulls and just kind of goes in reverse order back down. So it's one time through, but you're going to be seeing most of the exercises twice today. We've got 30 overhead squats at a super light weight, 30%. So this is one of those days, we see it all the time in workouts, is in classes, we see people able to go RX, and they're so obsessed with this RX number that they end up not going 30% because it's a number they can do. It ends up changing the pace, changing the fatigue that this workout creates, and changing the stimulus. And what happens is when people do that, when they scale every exercise except when it gets light, they don't scale. What that means is they never themselves get any light barbell workouts in. So that's kind of the key here, is even if you can hit the RX weights, if you don't typically do RX weights in workouts, stick with what we always recommend. The real RX is the percentages we give. So super light barbell is key here. 30 overhead squats, 30 knees to elbows, 30 sit-ups. You can use an ab mat, a yoga mat, a towel, a pillow, something below your back if you want. It helps create a little more extension. It's not necessary. 30 Sumo-deadlift High-Pulls, sumo, just wide stance. Deadlift, we're going to use those hips hard, and then high pull, we're going to pull up, bar about collarbone height. You don't have to touch your collarbone. Actually try not to, because a lot of people smack themselves in the face by accident. Just keep those elbows up high. Then we're going to go back down, so 30 sit-ups, 30 knees to elbows, 30 overhead squats. We're going to throw a 15-minute time cap on this workout. Really what we're looking for here is something where on all of these things, we're looking at like 3 sets max. Most people are going to be going unbroken on the overhead squats, maybe 2 sets going 15-15, maybe 10-10-10. But if the first 10 is hard, it means we're not at that 30%, and we're not quite hitting the right thing. We'll throw up how to scale this stuff and also at-home variations if you don't have a pull-up bar for the knees to elbows or a barbell. We'll throw up variations and stuff, so look for those. But anyway, if you don't quite have the full overhead squat, we can always change this to overhead lunges. That's going to give a very similar stimulus. But the other thing we can do too, and this is what I like even more, is to cut the number in half and add a 3-second pause. So instead of doing overhead lunges, that's going to give you the better workout today, but that's not going to really drive you to develop the overhead squat. What I'd recommend is half the reps. So 15 overhead squats. Squat to that lowest, best position you can. Give it a 3-second pause and stand up. Mentally, man, that is so hard to do, because what we don't want you doing is going well and then to get to the bottom positions doing ththose gross things, just because then you just get better at working around. Go to that lowest, best position and fight. And maybe over the course of the workout, you drop it by that much as it opens up. But the main thing is that battle over and over and over again throughout months, throughout a year, is going to make significant progress on your ability to overhead squat and get to those positions. So best workout today is going to be overhead lunges or overhead squat if you've got the position. If you don't have the position, develop it by adding in those pauses. Super hard, great workout. Knees to elbows, we can scale these with hanging knee raises, so it looks a lot like the knee to elbow, but instead of getting the knee all the way up to the elbow, we're just going to bring those knees up. If you don't have a bar or your hands can't take it, we've got some laying variations I'll throw in the description. Sit-ups are sit-ups. They're really hard if we do them the right way. So keep in mind for both of these things, knees to elbows and sit-ups, if I'm overextended on the knee to elbow and I pull my leg from there, it's all hip flexor. But if I draw in and I kip into this position and then pull everything up, it's going to be lower abs, and I'm going to get the rectus abdominis here. Sit-ups are the same way. If I stick that butt up in the air and don't let my back extend and don't actively try and engage my core, then it's all going to be hip flexor. So we don't want these to be hip flexor exercises. So that's why a lot of times when we throw these in workouts, we don't say it's for time. Because if you race in sit-ups, most of the time the way to go fastest to race for sit-up is to bypass actually getting training done on the abs to grow ab muscle there. And it ties into the hip flexor and go a bunch faster. So just things to keep in mind. Focus on technique. Let's make these look good so we're actually targeting the muscle groups we're looking for. With that said, before we scale knees to elbow down to hanging knee raises, let's first take that number down. 30 is a lot, but people that, we got a lot of people in the gym that do 30 to 50 unbroken, so that 30 number kind of makes sense there. So let's not use something too far over a max set. If your max set of knees to elbows is 15, then let's make that number 15 each time we come up with it. Same with sit-ups. Sit-ups are challenging in this one, especially with the knees to elbow part, but we don't want you hitting failure. If you're hitting failure, that just means that number was wrong. Doesn't matter. Cool, we hit failure, move on. That's not a bad thing, you're not cheating. Maybe if you want to make sure you're just not kind of being a baby about it, hit failure twice, and if you hit failure twice, time to move on. So if you're going and you're on sit-up number 16, and you do the thing where your feet come up in the air and you have the really slow rep, shake it out, and if you do a couple more and that happens again, that's failure, move on. Just go straight to the Sumo-deadlift High-Pulls. That means 30 was just the wrong number for you, and if I would have written the workout specifically for you, I would have written it at 15, knowing that you were going to fail at 16, something like that. Sumo-deadlift High-Pulls, since we're using this weight, super light. There's two variations. There's the one like the clean, where you bring it into the jumping position and then jump it up, and then there's the one that's basically just a fast deadlift. That's what we're going to do here. So just kind of straight up, make sure we use that hip, pull it on up. Back to the sit-ups, knees to elbows, overhead squats again. So rep scheme strategies, I went unbroken on the overhead squats, but I wasn't positive I was going to do that. So whenever I'm in these kind of mid-range areas, I go in with a plan, and my plan was, I don't know, I might go 10, 15, or unbroken. So 3 sets of 10, 2 sets of 15, or unbroken. So when I do that, I go, and if I'm battling to get to 10, I put it down. If I'm battling to get to 15, I put it down. But I felt great at 10, I felt fine at 15, so I just went to 30 there. I had the same plan on the Sumo-deadlift High-Pulls, and as I got to like rep 18, I was trying to look at it, and I was like, it was super easy to there, but my grip, especially from yesterday's workout, my grip was really starting to fatigue. I knew I had knees to elbow coming back up, and I didn't want my grip to be an issue. So I decided I put the bar down at 21, even though I know I could have gone unbroken, just because of muscle fatigue. So a lot of the strategy in these workouts with light barbells and just don't know ends up being a real wing it strategy. So knees to elbow, I was super conservative. I could have gone 30 unbroken, but I think that would have dominated me for the rest of the workout. So I went 6s. Super glad I did, because 6s got really hard here. Sit-ups, unbroken. Like I said, Sumo-deadlift High-Pull. My plan is to go unbroken just to see, but my grip was getting kind of nasty, so I went ahead and put it down and shook it out, and I think that did help me on that second set. Unbroken on the sit-ups. I did 5s the next time around to the knees to elbow, and that worked really well. So just to put perspective, I could probably do, I don't know, 30 to 50, so we'll say 30, and I did 6s, so I did about a fifth of a max set for my sets. So if your max set is 15, I recommend changing that number to 15, and then I'd come out with sets of 3. Just go 5 sets of 3, chip away at it like that. Overhead squats, especially since it's the last thing, it was unbroken. It was a super annoying set. I felt like I was a little off balance. I wasn't quite rotated the right way, and that's kind of the thing I've been working on. So I just tried to focus on keeping that bar stacked, controlling the shoulder. I wasn't like pushing the pace, but I was fighting to go unbroken there. But at that 30%, it's almost a no-brainer that you can go unbroken. It's just annoying to do so. So 15-minute cap, it's all just about making it look good, chipping away and trying to be consistent. You're going to take a lot of breaks in this one, so just keep them short. They don't have to be crazy short, but keep them short. Just keep getting back on the next thing. Chip away, chip away, chip away. Best people are going to be under 10. I think I was 10 and a half. I could really see someone who was really going after this stuff, but again, when you start going after things like sit-ups and knees to elbow, sometimes we bypass using the right muscle, so be careful about that. Have fun with this one. Talk to y'all soon.